I shake my head. I look around at what's going on in the world and just how things are happening, and I think to myself, what the frustrating part about it is that a guy like me, I can pretty much get anything done, and I'm thinking, why can't we seem to change it? Let's talk about what could be. Imagine for a second, just hypothetically, if there was something about your life you wanted to change. Let's just go out on a limb here and imagine. Let's say that it was the idea that maybe you could live on a sailboat or you wanted to spend all of your extra time fishing and hanging out on the water or something like that, or golfing or whatever that thing was. Do you have any idea how you would possibly do that? I mean, how many people do you know who've done it? That's a good question. That tells you apparently how difficult it is. How many people do you know that have actually converted their life into something that's centered around something that energizes them? And yeah, they still have all their basic needs met, but instead of mowing lawns on Saturday, they're going fishing or they're going golfing, they're on another adventure, or they only work 6 months a year. Pretty valuable information when you think about it, because the alternative kind of sucks. Right? Think about it. I mean, I didn't make the plan up, but I know it. I know it's not a great plan. Your plan right now, if as you sit where you are right now, thinking about what I'm saying, your plan probably involves a retirement somewhere around 65 or 70, and in between, you're just going to work and you're going to do what you do, and you're going to gain weight, and you're not going to experience a whole lot of what's going on in the world, a whole lot of the opportunities that exist. And the reason is why? Well, you're not thinking about it. You're not talking about it. You don't care about it enough to make it happen. Now here's the scenario. Can you imagine every week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday you play golf? And even more than that, let's just go out on a limb here and say every week you play golf and she plays golf with you. Or every weekend you go to the lake and you play with the jet skis and you play around on the water, pulling them back and forth and doing what you do, and it's just exciting. Just imagine how that would happen. That's how this whole conversation starts. And the cool part is, like I said before, it's you're already doing it. I'm just going to remind you of how. By the time we get done with this conversation, guess where you're going to be? You're going to be sitting in a spot where you can pick anything in your life, anything you choose to do in your life, and you're going to be able to say, "Hey, honey, what do you think about that?" And she'll look at you and go, "Well, I don't know. Oh, yeah, maybe." We talk about your relationship. We're going to talk about your job, how to make your job amazing, how to create that success in your job that you're looking for. We're going to talk about politics and all of those distractions that we face every day and why they're really not doing us any good. And then, of course, we're going to just pick some stuff out. I promise by the time we get done with this conversation, by the time I get done sharing what you already know with you and reminding you of how easy it is, you're going to be excited about it. And as much as I'd like to, and as much as I'd love to give it to you, I can't. It's up to you. But I'm going to even show you how to do that. It's all about reminding yourself, all about keeping those great things in front of you. And before you know it, you're getting excited and you're talking about it. And your friends are going to get tired of you talking about it. And you're going to just keep going at it and going at it. Before you know it, you're going to be right there where you want to be. I'm going to keep it fair. I'm going to keep this fair for you. All right. I'm going to keep this fair for you. So here's the deal. I said it. I said a minute ago that you already do what you do. You're already doing what we're talking about, and you are. Basically, what we're talking about throughout, no matter what you're applying it to, throughout this entire conversation, we're talking about our ability to pick and make a choice in life, and to pursue that choice, and to face all those challenges and overcome all those hurdles that stand between where you are now and where you want to be until you achieve it. And of course, you've done it. You did it when you went from a young man to an adult. You went from a unemployed individual to an employed individual. You did it when you went from a single person to a married or in a relationship person. You did it when you went from a renter to a buyer, and from living at your mom's house to living in a rental. The bottom line is you know how to do it. Where we're getting off the tracks is you're not doing it for the right reason. I mean, let's face it. I see you. I mean, I see you. You're got the house, the car, the kids. You're in debt, and you're doing what everybody else is doing. the unfortunate truth of that is you're also getting exactly what everyone else is getting. You're not, you, I mean, we want to believe, well, hey, did you see my car? Yeah, oh, I got it. Oh, you got a car? Oh, yeah, I got a nice car. Yeah, I'm paying big payments on it. Oh, yeah, look at me. And you throw your arm out the window on that car that you bought that you're in debt for now. And yeah, sure. I mean, I guess you get something out of throwing your arm out the window and thinking the world is watching you go by. The whole entire world stops. Birds stop singing, stop tweeting because you went by in your car. That's the image that we paint when we make choices. But the reality is, riding around in that car and all you have to do for that new vehicle that you now own doesn't shine a candle to a weekend of fishing. You drive that car from here to wherever, and you'll never feel about that car like you do about hanging out on the beach with your bestie, toes in the water, eating clams or shrimp, or just walking down the beach enjoying the sunset, saluting the sunset. There's nothing about some things in your life that you've chosen right now that even bring you to that level. Now the question is why. That doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? I mean, we all know what we love to do, and yet by the time you're 35, most of the stuff that you love to do, most of the stuff you're so into, it's probably nowhere to be found. And you do some stuff. Let's not say that you're completely out, but it's certainly not the rock and roll show that it could be. And why do you suppose that is? Well, that's where our imagination comes in. See, according to uh, the law of physics, it can't be imagined. Quantum physics, it can't be imagined. What can't be imagined will never be created. The reason we have the airplane is because someone imagined someone that we could fly, and they did it. The reason we have the wheel is the same reason. So when you look at your life and where it is right now, the reason you're not living on a sailboat in the Caribbean isn't because you can. It's because you don't. It's because you're truly, when it comes down to it, you can't imagine it. And of course, well, I guess you never be what you can't imagine. How'd you like to get that story started? Wouldn't that be cool? Wake up tomorrow morning, all of a sudden you got some exciting idea about where you're at and where you're going. All of a sudden you're just right there. That's what we're talking about here. That's what I'm getting ready to give you. And once you learn how to do it, and once you get that one win, you're there forever. Everybody wants a win. Everybody's a winner. That's what they say at the carnival. We went to the carnival with my grandkids. It was amazing. Kind of cool watching kids. And of course, I ate too much. I'd been on this diet, kind of a diet, change of lifestyle. I stopped eating sugar. Decided sugar was bad for me, which it is. Sugar is terrible. And so is, as far as I'm concerned, so is wheat bread, wheat products, because they just literally swell you up. I was getting my belly was, I'd eat and my belly would fill with gas. I'm like, what the hell? I feel like a 55-gallon drum when I'd lay down in bed at night. Cut the sugar out and I cut the wheat out of my diet. I'm going mostly clean proteins, and hell yeah. Hell yeah, my life is going good. But let's talk about how you add value to your life in the way that actually adds fuel to your tank, because that's really the problem. The reason you're not where you want to be isn't because you wouldn't like to be. It's because you don't have the energy to do it. Someone like me comes along and says, hey, listen, I got an idea for you. How about you just start thinking about this and start learning about this and start doing this? You can't even imagine it, especially if it's something you've never done before. And that's where the tools come in. See, no one's probably ever told you this, but the reason that we are able to achieve the things we are is because we're able to maintain a focus on them long enough to overcome all the hurdles between where we are and where we want to be. That's why I'm a podcaster. I remember my first podcast. I'd walk around the trailer, I'd stomping around the trailer, and I tell my wife, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do it on. It was before my very first one. And finally she said, Jesus, just do it. What's it? Maybe, so what? You'll suck. So what? Okay. Okay. I started to imagine it. And so I came up with this little story about how I'm going to be I think in my early podcast, if you go back and listen to the studio shows, I talk about how I was going to beat Joe Rogan out. I was going to beat Joe Rogan out for the number one spot. Was it true? I still haven't beat Joe Rogan or anybody else out of the number one spot. But that's pretty motivating, right? That's a pretty good story. Imagine if it happens. That's what we're talking about here. So let's turn this around to you. Imagine something that you could do that you're not doing now that would be pretty cool. And I like to use fishing because fishing's a pretty cool thing to do for a lot of people. And it's easy to understand, wrap your head around it. All right. So you want to go fishing. How do you get that thing started? Well, you have to have a reminder. You have to have some way for you to be reminded every day of the plan for you to spend 3 days a week going fishing. And people say, well, that's crazy. You can't do that. It's too expensive. Well, no, you can because people do. The problem with you is you can't imagine it. So here's the trick. Go to Walmart, go to any major retailer and buy your dry erase marker and put it in your toothbrush holder. And when you get in there to brush your teeth, right on the mirror, going fishing, gone fishing, whatever you need to do to inspire you to think about that thing. And then when you go to work and you pick up your phone, before you look at TikTok, look at your phone about how much it would cost you to actually go fishing 3 days a week. That way you can have a budget. And then about how much cool it would be if maybe you could reduce your house so that you don't have as big a payment on the house so you can spend more money and time on fishing. That'd be a good idea too. And then every night when you go to bed, guess what you do? You evaluate how you did. You're brushing your teeth and you put a 1 or a 0 if you didn't do anything on it. And you put a 10 if you did a 10 or 12 or 20, whatever it works. And guess what? Before you know it, you're going to be there. Let's add this thing to your relationship when we come back. All right, so how much do you care about it? We're going to talk about your relationship. There is an important place where you have to care. Because if you don't, you become one of the 700,000 people who get divorced every year. 700,000 families torn apart, just torn apart. 700,000 opportunities for lawyers and attorneys to make tons of money, right? Millions of dollars. And what do we get? We get heartache and we get sorrow and we get regret. Can you imagine if you were able to actually navigate your relationship or redirect your relationship in a way where you were able to actually shape it into the amazing experience that it should be? Just hypothetically. It's not. I mean, I know where you're at. I know. So but hypothetically, that comes down to how much you care about that relationship and about the vision that you have for it. See, it's a purpose thing. You'll never get where you're not going, and if you're not thinking about where you're going, you will never arrive at that destination. There's no more powerful place for you to improve your life than in your relationship. Why? Because now you have a partner. I mean, now you have someone who will hang out with you and be like, oh, yeah, I see. Okay, hey, listen, I'll tell you what, you do that and I'll do this, and that'll free up time for both of us. And then when we get done, we can have fun together and we can do this. Hey, listen, I understand. You're the partner and I'm a partner. You don't seem to like what they do. I'm going to support you because you're my partner. And if you start applying that and thinking about it, can you imagine what your relationship would be like? I mean, think about it. Imagine what would happen if you, as I'm the breadwinner. You've stood behind, you've hid behind helping your partner out because you go out and you work every day and they stay home, or whatever that arrangement is, whatever your excuse is for you not to jump in there and help out. Imagine what would happen in your relationship if you decided that wasn't a really good rule because you wrote on the mirror, hey, listen, I want to have a great relationship. So you start doing things for the person you love. I mean, I've heard guys talking about their relationships. I've heard them talking. Oh, I'd take a bullet for my wife. I'd take a bullet for my wife. Really? But you won't wash the dishes? You won't pick up after yourself? You don't lift the lid when you go to the bathroom? You don't clean the shower? You don't ever tell her, hey, listen, you've had a rough day. Listen, I'm going to give the kids a bath, and you just go ahead and hang out. In fact, why don't you go get you some dinner. Go shopping. Go do something. I'm going to do something for you. Can you imagine how far your relationship would go? And why don't you do it? Because you can't spend enough time. We're not spending enough time imagining how great it can be. And of course, well, I would explain it. Man, can you imagine if thinking about your relationship and how great it would be was as exciting as TikTok? You're over there just, instead of TikTok, because TikTok's pretty attractive. I don't know what it is about TikTok, but you can get on there, you get lost in the abyss of TikTok. But can you imagine if you looked at your relationship and when you thought about her or him and how it's going to be, can you imagine what would happen if it felt that good? I mean, that TikTok feeling when you're like, oh, and then you get home and you can't wait to get home and you run in the door like, hey, baby, how you doing? And you're like a new puppy coming in the door, owner just got home. And I say that and I don't mind that because that's how I feel. And my wife, it irritates her sometimes because I'm upbeat. Why? Because it feels so good to feel so good. You want to change it? You can do it. But what happens if they don't want to come along? There's an issue. And just a question here: what happens if you're in a relationship and your partner and you're rocking and rolling it, and you get this idea? You listen to some crazy guy on a podcast talking about how you can have a great relationship, and you go to him and you say, "Hey, listen, I got an idea, honey. Let's be nicer to each other. Let's write this on our mirror and let's follow it. Let's be kinder to each other, and let's see if we can make this thing rock and roll the best experience of our lives." And what you get in return is, I don't want to do that. I ain't doing that crap. Yeah, it sounds like we're. That's what you get. Some people say, "Oh, I'm dead in the water. I can't do anything." That's what I used to think. That's not nothing's farther from the truth. Because relationships are a three-sided thing. There's you, there's them, and then there's what happens between you and them. Just because they're crappy and they don't want to enjoy life and be inspired by the things they do, that doesn't mean that's not your excuse to be the same way. You don't have to be that way. You could actually become more inspiring than ever. Give them a reason to wonder. Oh, I wonder what's up with her, man. She going to the gym? What are you doing? Where are you going? Well, I'm going to go for a walk. I don't want to go for a walk. Okay, well, stay here. I'm going for a walk. In fact, yeah, I mean, I don't mind. Give me a great time just to enjoy life, to be inspired, to think about me, think about who I'm becoming. Become a better version of yourself despite your partner, and your partner will pay attention. Does it always end well? Well, it depends on how smart your partner is. I figured it out. My wife was crying. I figured out when your partner is crying, when they're upset, that's not the time to get upset. That's the time to come and help. If they're crying, they fell down. Something's hurting. Might just be their heart, but something is definitely hurting. And when I figured that out, guess what? My relationship got crazy good. And why don't we do it? Why don't we do it? Because when you think about it, we're innately selfish. I mean, that's the nature of life. I mean, a mama lion will smack the shit out of a cub if she's hungrier than the cub. Hey, get off my gazelle. Just slap the shit out of her. Get over there, eat, and then they let them go. We're kind of that way. And of course, you add that to the simple fact, how many hours of relationship training have you had? How many hours of relationship training have you had? I'll wait. Oh, none, probably. But yet we assume that we're really good at it. But yet, I tell you that 700,000 people got divorced last year or more, right? A bunch of attorneys running around living in the Caribbean. Oh, they're divorced too, but they have the money to not have to worry about it. they're not like you, right? But that's the bottom line on it. And when you can see what it is, and I could see it when I looked at my wife after listening to The Power of Vulnerability by Brene Brown, which I listened to several times. Like I've listened to it probably 10 times, 3 of it before I ever talked to my wife about it. But it's the most empowering book I've ever had. But when you set your sights on something and you start thinking about how much better your life's going to be because your partner looks at you in a different light, in a better light, that's something to get excited about. I mean, that's like snowboarding energy right there. And that's what I get. World keeps looking at me like, what's the matter with this guy? He just keeps coming at us and coming at us. Well, hell yeah. Why not? My tank is overflowing. I have to do something with this energy. What about you? Let's talk about you. It's time for us to grab a hold of this and wrap it all up with you at the center of it. Let's talk about the information you take in. I'm going to tell you right now, just in case you don't realize it, they're lying to you, right? I see people every day, and you got guys with Trump posters, and you got people with Kamala Harris posters, and everybody's running around like it's a Super Bowl match. But it's not. We're talking about the legacy of our country. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about the direction of our entire country. And more than that, we're talking about the safety and the sovereignty of our country from the standpoint of what legacy are we leaving for our children? Kind of an important thing for us to be just half-assedly picking some random guy that we don't even know. And of course, the first thing people say when I start talking about Trump is the Trumpsters go, "Oh, I can't believe you're saying that." Well, it's the truth. I'm looking at Donald Trump, and I think I know people in my inner circle who are better suited to be president than him, have more integrity, more honest, more trustworthy, smarter. He's a snake oil salesman, and he's doing a really good job at it. And a lot of people go, "Ah." But let me ask you a question about Donald Trump, and the same is true for Harris and the Democrats and all these other distractions that we seem to get ourselves caught up in. You stand over the fence and you argue, or you argue down at the grocery store and you glare at people because they have a different opinion of you about somebody you don't even know. And it's the same someone they don't know. No, we don't know any of these. We don't know. You've never had breakfast with Donald Trump. And you spend 20 minutes angry, and then you get home and you get in your car and you're like, "Oh, that son of a gun. Oh, yeah, I hate that Donald Trump lover. Oh, God dang. Hate that hate man is fool." And then the other guy's doing the same damn thing. Now, here's the point. And then what? Right? And then what? I mean, you get home and you're still not making enough money. The cost of insurance is going up. If you live in Illinois, they taxing the shit out of you in Illinois, right? And there you are, and you're over there spending time arguing with somebody, wasting your life, spending time arguing about somebody that you doesn't even matter. Do you think our selection of president comes down to who can present the best Super Bowl commercial. It just happens to last forever and ever, right? I mean, just think about the demeanor of either one of those. Kamala Harris is a princess. I just by the way she smiles, you can tell there's something to her. She's got that look. If you're a man, you especially can see it. But there's a look there. And of course, Donald Trump is a bully. And what's sad about it is we are spending all this time having conversations, and nothing we're talking about is going to change shit. Isn't going to change a thing. What's the alternative? Well, the alternative is to gauge what will change it. Let's just take an evaluation. And this is what this whole conversation is about. It's about us being able to say, well, I'm doing this. What's the benefit to me? I'm going to do this. What's the benefit to me? How much tangible benefit do I see? You can argue and fight and scream and yell about your presidential candidate till you're blue in the face and no one gives a shit. No one cares, right? And why is that? They don't have to care. You're not the one that they have to pay back. They're not. Their concern isn't whether you, Mr. American, is struggling or can pay your insurance or the taxes are too high. They got millionaire donors to take care of. They got millionaire donors. They got people that have more money than you'll ever imagine, than any of us will ever imagine, sitting around, and they got to get them paid back because they're the ones that paid for the show. Oh, you want to be a star? You want to be a star. All right, well, when you get in there and you get the power in your hands, let's go ahead and pay some stuff back. That's what I'm talking about. Let's close this thing up. I'm doing my best. I got to tell you, I am. I can't seem to stop showing up here. There's a reason for it. I'm kind of scared because I have this amazing life with my amazing family, and I've been spared a lot of tragedy. I haven't had to experience that. And I just think maybe that this might be my penance, my payback for the blessings that I have. So if you're tired of listening to it, try putting it to work. Go get that dry erase marker and write that thing on the mirror and test it out. Let me know what you think. I really appreciate the fact that you keep showing up here. My numbers are growing. I don't need followers. I don't really want you to follow me. I want you to jot some stuff down, figure out what I'm talking about, try and apply it on something simple, like maybe with your relationship with your partner, and just test it out. And if it doesn't work, keep trying. Keep that list going on that mirror. And I guarantee before you know it, you're going to be exactly where you want to be. And that is the truth of it. Get excited about something that will elevate your life, and I guarantee you will find a way to achieve it.